Howdy everybody, Graz here from the GKBC, and I am here to give you a review on Jerusalem by Alan Moore. This was one of my big books for the Supersized Summer Big Book Challenge, which I will be, this weekend I will be doing a, like a wrap-up recap thing for the whole event. Before I get into Jerusalem, I just want to point out my newest acquisition sitting here next to me. It's the Powers Omnibus Volume 1 by Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Avon Oeming. And I'm going to take this down so it doesn't fall. It already tried to fall once. But this is a, as you can see, a beast. This is 1,300 pages of a really good superhero story, Powers. Excuse me. The reason I have this is the next graphic novel in the list of that I've been doing way back where I'm doing the reviews is Powers Volume 1, Who Killed Retro Girl. And just the collected Retro Girl was like $24 on Amazon. But this whole thing, which is the entire run of Powers, I mean, this is the first series of Powers, which is 37 issues, was only 73. So that's why I got that. Okay. Now let's talk about Jerusalem. Actually, I'm going to put Jerusalem up so you can look at it. Okay. Camera person, is that on the thing?
Yes.
Please don't fall. Okay. Jerusalem by Alan Moore. 1,266 pages, published in 2016. The cover art is actually by Alan Moore. So that's pretty cool. Now what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you my ups and downs, or downs and ups. And then I've got some passages I want to read. So this is going to be a longer review. So keep an eye on that, Em, or Evelyn, or whatever, daughter. When we hit 25 minutes, let me know. Okay, so I'm going to go through the downs first. Number one, it was extremely hard to read and understand at parts due to the slang and the language of the area. There's this one chapter that just makes... I struggled really hard, and I mean, it's like an internal monologue of somebody who lives in this Burroughs area, and Burroughs maybe, and she thinks in the language of the place. And it's like, imagine you're like reading a book, let's say from, if you're an American and you're reading a book from, say, London, and they talk in the Cockney slang all the time. You're gonna have a hard time understanding it. That's what this whole chapter basically is. So that was kind of hard to get through. Number two, it's extremely wordy, and it really goes on far too long. If you know Alan Moore at all, you know that he loves his rhetoric, and he loves just overkilling the point. And he does that in here. Number three, oh boy, it jumps around a lot. I mean, a lot. Every chapter, except for the middle section where it follows one storyline, every chapter is different. It's like it was like reading a bunch of different little stories put into one book. And by the time you came back to a character, say in chapter 2, you're, you know, it's like now you're in like chapter 19, and you go, well, okay, who was this again? And so it's hard to stay focused and follow the story properly at times. Number 4 of the downs, the chapters are super long, and the paragraphs are super long. I mean, it makes for tired eyes, because some of the chapters are, say, 55 to 60 pages, and the paragraphs, one paragraph can go for an entire page or a page and a half. And that's kind of a lot, you know? I mean, your eyes kind of need those little breaks here and there. Okay, number 5, the first quarter of the book was basically, I mean, I realized we were getting to know some of the characters and stuff, and he was setting it all up, but it was basically like a geography lesson of this area. And if I didn't like Alan Moore so much, I almost thought about, or because I like him so much, I didn't quit this book, but I thought about it. Because it was a lot of in-depth geography and stuff. But that's the downs. I mean, they're legit downs. They're not nitpicks this time. But I mean, it's almost 1,300 pages. You're going to find stuff to not like. Now the ups. Number 5, I'm going to go 5-1 here. Good job, Freddie. Good job. I'm going to try and not give away too many spoilers, because I know at least one of my viewers is going to read this. But good job, Freddie. He's a ghost that was a drunk, and he stole food and money to get drunk while he was alive. And he didn't really have a home, so he was a rough sleeper. It means he sleeps out in like doorways and under the stars. But near the end, he's a hero. So good job. You have redeemed yourself. Number 4, I mean, there is a massive cast in this book. There are so many events happening to each one of them. You know, the roads and paths that they take, and like they run across each other, or like two of the characters are up on a hill talking, and a third character later on in the book is walking, and he looks up and he sees them 2 characters in a scene that you've already read about, and he's wondering what they're talking about. It's it's convoluted, but it's really well done how Moore interwove it all, interweaving. Number 3, I know I kind of complained about the unreadability of some of it, but the brilliance of the differing formats from the chapters. Like, there's an entire chapter called The Jolly Smokers. It's basically like 19 pages. It's one of the shorter chapters in the book. But it's like 19 pages of a bunch of 8-line poems that all together tell an entire story of its own. And I mean, that's brilliant. You know, that's incredibly brilliant. And you know, there's another. I mean, it's just like the chapters are. He was really stretching his writing ability doing this book. And it really shows. And even though there's parts that are almost impossible to read, when you're done, when I finished, I sat back and thought, I get it now. So, number 2, like the entire book, we're talking about an art show by one of the main characters, and you're starting to think as you're getting to the end, well, are we actually going to see this art show? You know, are we going to see what these paintings are? And the entire last chapter is the art show. And I'm not going to give anything away there, but sharp-eyed readers will catch it. And it ties everything together. It's amazing. And my favorite part of the book, my biggest up, is the Dead game. They're the best part of the book. And I want to let you know that the mystery behind two of the members of the Dead gang is explained near the end. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Now I'm going to talk to you about, I'm going to go through and read a few passages that I liked. Oh, also, the book has this, which I have to show. It's got a map of the area. And I can't tell you how many times I went back and referenced this to see, like, okay, where's that street? Where's this thing? What are they talking about here? And that was kind of neat. I liked that. So, okay, page 12 was my first note. Okay. You have to, I mean, this is the description of one of our characters. Mae Warren, formerly Mae Vernal. Let me take the dust jacket off and hold on to it. I don't want to ruin it. Okay. Mae Warren, formerly Mae Vernal, was a stout and freckled dreadnought of a woman, rolling keg-shaped down the tiled lanes of the covered fish market most Saturdays, leaving a cleared path in her wake and gathering momentum with each heavy pace like an accumulating snowball of cheery malevolence, the speckled jowls in which her chin lay sunken, shuddering at every step, the darting currents of the eyes pressed deep into the heaped blood pudding of her face, glittering with anticipation of whatever awful treat she'd visited the market to procure. That's amazing. So, okay. Now we'll go to page 88. Okay. Marla thought schools always looked haunted when it was at night and there weren't kids there. She supposed it was because the school had such a lot of noise and kids all running around during the day. It made you notice more when it was dark and quiet and there weren't nothing moving. That's pretty neat. Okay, 158. Okay, what it was with death that worried him was that it made him feel like he was trapped upon a tram line that was only going to one place, that the iron rail was set already in the road in front of him, that it was all inevitable, although actually that was the thing that worried him with life as well, upon consideration. It was how life seemed sometimes like a skit that had been written out beforehand, with a punchline that was set up in advance, and all you could do was try and keep up with its twists and turns while the momentum of the story dragged you through it, one scene following another. Okay, 177. Okay. Bradlaugh had been a good man, and the Lord would possibly forgive the atheism when all that was took into account. So Henry figured how he ought to let it go by too. I liked that. I mean, you know, it kind of speaks to, if you're a good person, you treat people right, maybe you'll be okay. I appreciated that. Okay, page 199. Almost turned right to it that time. New bottom of the page, new barn. Okay, this is another thing about religion. When you was kneeling in a barn, you knew as God was there, the same like you was in a church. The difference was that in a barn, you could be sure you didn't have a devil in the pulpit. That's powerful stuff. Okay, on 218, this isn't quite a note, really, but it says, the next thing he knew. Okay. That actually stopped me while reading, because we're talking about Alan Moore here. He's very accomplished, obviously. He obviously knows how to put sentences together. And the next thing he knew, kind of an amateur act for somebody of the stature of Alan Moore, wouldn't you say? I mean, it's kind of below below him, I thought. Okay, 246. Okay. Okay. Death wasn't what the problem was. Death wasn't asking anything of anyone except for effortless decomposition. Death wasn't the thing with all the expectations and the disappointments and the constant fear that anything could happen. That was life. Death, fearsome from life's frightened point of view, was actually itself beyond all fear and hurt. Death, like a kindly mother, took the worrisome responsibilities and the decisions off your hands, kissed you goodnight, and tucked you underneath the warm green counterpane. Life was the trial, the test, the thing you had to figure out what you should do with it before it was over. And that right there is kind of like the point of the whole book. So, you know, don't be afraid of death. Be afraid of life and what you can do with it. And are we all, and then, you know, do we have free will, or are we just acting out a scene that's already been acted out or written for us? And then I kind of got into the book, and my next thing is on 935, and that's the last one. And it was just like, this is amazing. They're describing one of the characters, and I thought that this description was brilliant. Let me see. His other big plus is his reputation. Diabolically logical. Tenacious to the point of tetanus once he has locked his jaws. As unpredictable as cheese dreams and completely fearless from his burglar boyhood. Madder than a bottle full of windows. Tenacious to the point of tetanus is what caught me there. That was an incredible line. Okay. Those are the notes I have from inside the book. Now I will read you the Goodreads ratings and then give you what I rated it. On Goodreads, somehow this has a 3.99 out of 5. And that's over only 2,784 ratings and 663 reviews. Now I did discover on Goodreads that this was maybe originally published as 3 books. Because there's 3 parts, and each part was its own book. But I like it better like this, because you could just like with Lord of the Rings. I understand that The Fellowship, The Two Towers, and Return of the King can be 3 books, but I like it better when it's one, because you can just keep on going. You don't need a whole bunch of volumes sitting around. I gave it an 8.31 out of 10, which is basically like a 4.15. So slightly above the Goodreads average. Anyway, that is Jerusalem by Alan Moore. I would like to point out that my book for Occult Detective October showed up in the mail today. Rivers of London by Ben Aronovich. Recommended to me by Roy. Roy Reads Anything. So, and this is the first in a series, so if I like this, good deal. Let's see. I guess that's all I got for you today. Yeah. Shaptember, reading Macbeth. I'll put the hashtag for both of those events down below, and the hosts that I know. I'll tag Roy. Thank you for the great recommendation. Roy, you are awesome. It's not just Roy Reads Anything, it's Roy Helps Anyone. So, anyway, I will see you this weekend, and until then, read more.